What is up, Top Madden family? We're back. Second episode of the Top Madden Top 20 Players as voted by the users in the league. Well, 12 of you, since the rest of you guys aren't in chat and didn't do it. But either way, nonetheless, number 15, the cornerback down in the AFC South, Mr. Jalen Ramsey himself. So Jalen, 72 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 7 interceptions, and 4 pass deflections. Now, you may remember the performance against the Cincinnati Bengals. 6 interceptions, 1 game, 1 on the rest of the year. That's okay because only one person is dumb enough to target Jalen Ramsey, and that's P-Town himself. Everybody else knows. They fear him for a reason. There's a reason he's on this list at 15. It's because everybody knows you cannot throw at Jalen Ramsey. Only one wide receiver has even had remote success against him all year long. So Jalen Ramsey, 15 on the list, locking it down for the Mr. Lance here. Let's go on to number 14, and we're going to have Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke, a real yard turner here, just turning them out. 299 attempts, 1,500 yards, 6 touchdowns. We see this sometimes with stars. They really struggle to get into the end zone. They'll just have one odd year where they don't rack up the end zone. Maybe somebody came in and cleaned it up, or maybe just that dominant threat on the ground opened up some touchdowns in the passing game for the red zone. Nonetheless, Zeke voted in by his peers as number 14 on the list from the Cowboys. So excited to see how they progress here, knowing they have to pay some important players on that team, but Zeke looks to be the center point for the rest of it. Let's go to number 13 on the list, our second middle linebacker, and that's Bobby Wagner. Bobby notched 113 tackles. He led the league in solo tackles, 5 interceptions, 2 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss, 6 deflections, and 6 forced fumbles, earning himself another Pro Bowl to the resume. Bobby Wagner, on a Seattle team that had high expectations with their user, didn't really pan out, finished 8-8, but he's as good as he's ever been. A true threat in the middle of the field. Biggest game had to have been his performance against the Rams. This man clotheslined Brandon Cooks. It was a problem. So voted to number 13 on the list. Bobby Wagner, you're playing Seattle. You know you can't throw over the middle because he's there, and you're scared to run the ball because he can knock your running back dead at any play. We see that with the 6 forced fumbles on the year alone. So Bobby Wagner at the 13, and you'll be unlucky 13 if you have to run into him in the gap. Let's go to number 12, Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill. No traits, no problems. 62 receptions, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns, and another 2 touchdowns on the ground on his 13 attempts. He earns a Pro Bowl appearance. Tyreek Hill, part of a Chiefs team that made a playoff run this year. They actually won their division in Week 17. He's on an offense that just has so much talent. So to see him put up the numbers he did put up, it may look a little underwhelming. You got Hardman out there who's getting carries. You got Coleman, who at any point could just take over a game on the run. And you have Kelsey. And then you have a user like Warren who can put games away so quickly that you don't really have the time to pad on those volume stats. So while the stat column may not be what you would expect, everybody knows you line up versus Kansas City, all eyes are on Tyreek Hill, and he lands the number 12 spot on our countdown. Let's go to number 11, a safety for the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody knows about good old Dane Cruikshank, traded to the Bengals from Tennessee. Very speedy safety back there, roaming for P-Town. 84 tackles, 6 tackles for a loss, 9 interceptions, and 12 pass deflections. So, responsible at least for 20 pass breakups on the year, 9 of those being interceptions. So we knew that he was going to roam. Everybody knows from last Madden that Dane Cruikshank can be a problem. And the fear remains here as he's voted to 11 on the list. So not many safeties that aren't X factors, that don't have big hair traits, feet, make everybody really not want to throw to the side of the field. But the pure range that Cruikshank has at all times, he really is the most dominant user that I could think of across the last 2 cycles, and P-Town has done well with him. So congrats to Cruikshank and congrats to P-Town. Best of luck in the Army, my man. And that's it. Stay tuned. Every day we're going to drop another 5 so we get to number 1 on the countdown.